So the other night, my wife and I were trying to look for a movie to watch, and you got to find that just the perfect blend of two things we both like, for the ultimate movie. And so I found something that had mechs in it, but it also starred Jennifer Lopez, so that was a win. So it's a movie called Atlas on Netflix, and really what caught my eye is just seeing some marketing of showing some mechs in action. But it's like, okay, let's really see what this thing is all about. And I gotta be honest, I thought the movie was very good. In fact, it was just fast-paced sci-fi world building, and the story is really, it has to do with like AI. Humans created some AI robots, and then we're fighting against them, etc., etc. That kind of like sets the stage of where we're then getting the mecha sci-fi world that we're in, and so it does a really good job of it because it plays like, I say it plays like because I'm thinking video games, but really like a Star Wars, because the way the characters are talking to each other or talking in the world, it's about what's going on in the world, and it's like an indirect characterization of who these people are. So you get to know these characters through what they're having to go through in the world. So like, what happened was, at one point there was these wars between the humans and the AI robots, and it got to the point where the AI robots figured out a way to escape out into space. So like 20-something years later, I guess humans find out there's some AI spies on Earth, and from that they're able to figure out where the AI went, to some planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. So that sets the stage for the action, right? So then there's the reason that we have this military force going out to fight in mecha suits against some AI robots. Coalition of Nations, or ICN, has a group of Rangers. These are like battle-hardened pilots that use these mechs in battles. So now we're getting to where, if you're a fan of things like Gundam, or, I was talking recently about Exo Squad, or, you like Star Wars, things where you have this world where there's these battles taking place in some cool sci-fi weaponry, and this movie does it where it's respecting the world building. Now, if you think of it in terms of the world building that's going on in this movie, it does it great. It makes it where the whole time there's something interesting going on, because again, it's informing the world while you're seeing these characters kind of find out who they are in this world. So then if I was to make a complaint, it would be that if you look deep maybe into some of the motivations of some of the things going on, it is rather tropey, kind of the idea of, AI turning on humans because they kind of like see what we're capable of and that we need to be exterminated. But it's cool that it came from a place where the main character, Atlas, Jennifer Lopez, when she was a kid, her mother, who invented these AI robots, Jennifer Lopez's character happened to be messing around with one in a way she shouldn't, where she kind of unlocked its access into a human mind, allowing it to figure out, oh, humans are bad, we need to exterminate them. So while that's a cool character story for Jennifer Lopez's character, I feel like the reasoning, the motivation behind the AI is kind of boring and tropey. But it gave such a good reason for filmmakers to make some badass mech action. I mean, check this out. This is like in the upper atmosphere of a planet. You see like the AI robots are sending out their stuff, and you see some mechs going around shooting. Looking at this, it's just, this is the type of action I like to see. And it's so good that even the kind of okay-ish plot and story is good enough, because it's just giving me kind of some sort of relative attachment to a character to follow through as the story in this world unfolds. Okay, so real quick recap. Like, the movie is a fun watch from beginning to end. There's nothing offensive about it. You might just think some of the high-level story elements are kind of a little basic. It's more driven by the characters, which is a good thing. That's what makes this a little more compelling and of a faster-paced ride. But then you get the world building. You get this awesome future they're in. And, one part that I really connected with was when Atlas, Jennifer Lopez's character, was kind of going through something. She was in her home, and then she was kind of like, I forget what she said, but she was talking to her AI assistant, and she was like, white noise or background noise. She said something like that. And then on this big, like, I guess, panel on the wall, a whole bunch of different windows with all these different videos just start playing with noise. And it just reminded me of today how I'll have a phone and computer monitor maybe playing something, or a TV in the background, and computer monitor playing something while playing a game. And I think that's kind of common, and I like how they turned it up a bit. Like further in the future, you'll have all these screens. Okay, so then going back to what makes this awesome, and that's this mech combat that we've got throughout. They show space ships, they show what it's like being in the atmosphere fighting, and there's just some crazy death scenes. Okay, so it takes that Gundam approach where things can happen that you don't expect to some characters. Then just seeing the mech action, you know, throughout, whether it's fighting just a group of androids, and so there's some android gore there that's actually done really well. What's being done well here is actually not being too over the top with the CGI. I think there's some areas, especially when it's completely CGI, that it looks fake, but when it looks like scenes where a real camera has been moving around and they're just adding CGI, it looks really good. I mean, look at all this stuff. It's just awesome mecha action. Okay, so to go back to my gripes real quick, again, I think sometimes that high level, like motivational factor of the story is a little hollow, but it's made up for by the characterization being pretty strong, because Jennifer Lopez actually does a great job with her acting. So that kind of helps you kind of take it for what it is and not feel put off by, okay, this character doesn't make any sense. All right, let's look at Rotten Tomatoes real quick. 18%, what critic rating, 46 audience score. Let's see what they're saying, what the negatives are about it. So we've got Wenlei Ma. It's like if Marvel made a whole movie with Tony Stark inside his armor just talking to Jarvis, but without any witty repartee. I would say that's incorrect, because what's interesting about this is no Jarvis. And this is something I actually didn't speak about earlier. This AI assistant, the point to it is that she has to put on a device that allows her to connect her mind to it in order to fully utilize it in battle, but she doesn't want to, because the reason they're in this whole thing in the first place is because when she unlocked what this bad guy AI was supposed to be able to do when she was a kid, it allowed then it to take full control of her mom through the AI piece. So Atlas doesn't want to use the AI interface with the mecha she's in, and its name is Smith. And so that's where that Jarvis parallel comes from. But the thing is, in order for them to work together properly, they need to answer some questions. And it's funny, because how they're setting that up for her to sync with mecha is that indirect characterization I was talking about, where you're getting to know the character through her facing, having to interface both through the formalities of using the mecha, but also how that's kind of diving into her distrust with the AI in the first place. So I would say this Wenlei Ma saying that it's that without the witty repartee, I think she kind of missed the point. J-Lo may be fighting for the very existence of the human race, but there's nothing at stake between you and the screen. That's kind of interesting, because I did think it was quite heavy early on, the deaths that were taking place, and it really did tell me, okay, things are at stake. Main characters are dying, so I don't know. Here's another one. The unimaginative direction, generic script, weakly drawn characters, iffy acting, and misguided production elements are a hindrance, but even with all that dead weight, the simple act of going on a mission provides a natural momentum. So I think they're just saying it has a simple plot, so it has a natural momentum to it to make it have a good pace to it. I don't know. I would say that there is some genericness to it, but I would say it's not unimaginative in terms of the world building. I mean, just again, the way that the script was written was to inform us of the world as the characters were having to interact with it. It just says it's like they say a bunch of sentences and then fairly enjoyable. So that's fair. The thing that's most artificial about this AI thriller is the script. And I get it. I can get kind of harping on the script, but that's actually not the point of this movie. I would say the point of the movie for Jennifer Lopez is to give her a reason to perform in the way she has. Again, she's in most scenes are just her. So she's able to sit and on the creative side, be able to take it in and act out her scenes, because she's in a lot of distress, a lot of pain that she's going through. She does, a good job with it. So really, that is front and center with her reacting to that world. And so that's why the script may seem weak, because that's not what they were going for. Anyway, this is one of those movies where I think you're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it, but at the same time, it's not like offensive or it doesn't do anything jarring. It's a completely competent watch, I think, for anybody. But if you're into sci-fi, especially when it comes to like, the military, using weaponry and then against like an opposing force, what they're all about. There's cool stuff here, and I wish they would expand on it. Like, there could be a cool resource book where it's like, here's this faction, here's all their weapons. Because by the end of the movie, Jennifer Lopez starts piloting the newer models of the mechs. They even talk about that. So that's what I'm saying is the script takes the time to give details to the world for people that are really into this type of thing with sci-fi. But if you're not into sci-fi, if you're not into world building in a sci-fi futuristic world, then you're not going to care, and it's not going to be for you. So I find those complaints fair. Anyway, thanks for watching. You guys should check out this movie Atlas on Netflix. If you have, let me know what you think. I'd like to cover it on a future podcast, just because, it's not the best movie, but it's super fun to watch. So thanks to all the supporters for making this possible. Check the links in the description if you're into something like that. But also there's a link to our Discord. We have a lot of fun there. So until next time, be cool.